Hey there. Welcome back to the Make Room Show. I'm your host, Jennifer Ford Berry, and it is a couple of weeks from the Christmas holiday. Everybody is running around buying more and more things. And today I thought would be a good time to just kind of come on here and give you a little inside scoop on what it is I see as a professional organizer coach for the last over 20 years, over 2 decades, so that it kind of helps you not only plan for the new year, but also to remind yourself that you might not be missing out on as much as you think you are in life. And you might resonate with some of the things I'm going to tell you today, or you might be like, nope, that's not me. And that means you're doing really awesome. So I'm excited to do this show. It's funny, I get this really special opportunity in my life to go inside to many, many, many homes and see how other people live. And it's fun and it's interesting, and I think that you'll find it interesting too, what I'm going to tell you today. So hopefully this is fun. So here's some things that I have learned and I have been able to kind of experience and witness over the past couple of decades. And I hope that this is interesting to you as well. I love my job, so this is going to be fun. First of all, everybody thinks everyone else has it together. Okay. Everyone thinks everybody's home, especially as women, that other people have the perfect home, the perfect family, the perfect kids, the perfect dog, and it's simply not true. I have yet to see the perfect home or the perfect family. Okay. So let's just debunk that right now. It doesn't exist. It does not exist. And the cool thing about that is the more you appreciate your home and your life and your family, the closer it will be to perfect, because it's all in our thoughts, it's all in our perspective. And so if we can look at the kids running around acting crazy and the Barbies and the Legos all over the living room floor, and we can say, this is an awesome season to be in. I've been, waiting and waiting to be a mom, to have kids, and now they come with a mess, and we can say this is just part of life. This is awesome because this is what else would it look like? Would you really want your kids to just sit on the couch, stare at the wall, not move, not play with toys, not ever, get anything out? Well, then you might not have a mess. But the fact that you have these kids doing this, and this is just one example that I can think of, then it makes it so cool to look at it from that perspective and say, yeah, this is exactly what it should be. And that makes it pretty freaking awesome. So if you can change your perspective, you'll get closer to perfect, right? But in theory, yeah, nothing always looks perfectly put together, perfectly clean, perfectly neat, perfectly organized, perfectly dressed. It's not happening. So we should just stop setting ourselves up for failure by expecting our own selves to be perfect, because nobody else is doing it. I can tell you that right now. The other thing that is interesting to me is that there is no magic wand. There's no magic wand to create the perfect space. I say this all the time: organization, stewardship, cleanliness, everything. Even if it's about taking care of your body, if it's about dressing right, if it's about taking care of your hair and nails, if it's about keeping your kids looking neat and polished, whatever it is, it takes work, and a lot of it. It takes hard work, to be honest with you. Even when you know the rules and the systems and the ways to do it, and you know how to go about the process, it's still work. So even for me, I've done this for so long. I know how to organize any space you give me. I could do it in my sleep at this point, but it's still work. It still takes manual labor in order to get from point A to point B. There's no skipping it. And when clients do ask me to kind of try to do a space that has been neglected for months, if not years, and they want just a quick fix, I always tell them this is a band-aid. I can put a band-aid on it, but it's not doing it the right way, because the right way always requires work. And you can't just zip through it usually. You have to do a step-by-step process. So it's all work, but there's a lot of people out there, and I know this is hard to hear, but sometimes you just need to hear it. There's a lot of people that just are plain old lazy and they don't want to do any work. And I'm not talking about the mom that's busting her butt every day doing a 50 word long to-do list and they still aren't at the end of it. That's normal. I'm talking about pure laziness where you're just like, I don't feel like it, and you let the mess get bigger and bigger. You don't do the things you're supposed to do with your kids. You're not paying your bills on time. You're not eating healthy. You're not doing the right things, and then all of a sudden you wake up a year later and you're like, hey, I don't like my life. I don't like my house. I don't like what I've created. And that you have to look in the mirror and say, well, was I taking the easy way out? Was I being lazy all year? And now I have to backtrack. That I see a lot, and a real lot out in the world. The other thing is that I've learned, more stuff doesn't actually always make you happier. Actually, very rarely does it make you happier. More stuff makes life harder. It's harder to clean. It's harder to get things done. It's harder to relax. It's harder to find things. It's just harder. We keep adding stuff in, but we don't take things out. And then it becomes a really big pile to sort and purge. And it's funny because I was talking to one of my clients the last 2 weeks, and I've been working with her for a while, but I had noticed that she had done a lot of shopping, and she had done so much shopping that the clothes were not fitting in her closet anymore. And I said to her, hey, I can tell you've been buying some new stuff, which great. She's been working out. She's been taking care of her body. So she's looking for a different style. She's looking for things that fit differently because she's lost that weight. And that's awesome. I love the self-care, but she didn't take the time to pull out the stuff that is no longer her, no longer suits her style, the things that she doesn't fit in anymore. They were still in her closet too. So it actually got to the point where she wasn't putting her laundry away. And I said to her, I know when you don't put your laundry away, it's because it's too hard to put your laundry away. I know you're not hanging your clean clothes up because it's too hard to do that. So I said, this is when I know a client really needs to purge and purge hard. So we did one side of her closet one week and the other side of the closet yesterday. She got rid of over 8 garbage bags of clothes, bags, shoes, accessories, 8 big garbage bags that were taking up space in her closet. And this is a perfect example. More stuff wasn't making her happier. It was making her life harder. So even though she bought these clothes that she was loving and was excited to buy when she was at the store, if you bring them home and there's nowhere to put them, they're either going to sit on the floor, sit on a piece of furniture in your bedroom. They're not, or you're gonna shove them in with the other clothes and it's gonna get wrinkled and then you're not going to want to wear them. I mean, it's just the whole system is not going to work. So we gutted her closet and she was elated. She was so excited. And the way that we gutted her closet is that I made her look at every single piece in the closet, because until you actually pull it out away from the rack, look at it, hold it up, look at the front, the back, you can't really get a full view of this the way that it has been worn. Maybe it's starting to pill. Maybe there's a stain on there you didn't notice before. Maybe there's a discoloration. So you really have to take a good look at it. If you're serious about getting rid of a lot of things, you have to really pull it out into the right light, take a good look at it, ask yourself, is this me anymore? Sometimes most of the time, actually, a client will say, hey, what do you think about the style? And then if there's still him and hawing about it, I'll ask them to try it on just so they really know. When's the last time you tried on those jeans that have been taking up space in your closet every day that you haven't worn for over a year, but you don't even know what they look like on you anymore? Sometimes it's just worth it to say, okay, I'm going to grab a Saturday afternoon and plug through this, especially during the holidays. And we were talking about this time of year. We know new things are going to be there's going to be a huge influx of new things coming into our homes. So it's a really nice time to purge as much as you can. And if you did my 12 days of purging last year, it was really popular and fun and it got people in the mood. It's still up there on my socials if you want to take a look at it. I think it's called the 12 Days of Purging, and it kind of walks you through all these little categories of stuff in our homes that we might not think about, but they take up a lot of room. And we need intention, right? We need to put time aside and say, okay, my intention is to clear out some space in this specific category and to do it from beginning and to the end until it's completed. So that's what we did with her closet, and it made such a huge difference. I loved it. There wasn't anything on the floor. Every piece of clothing was hung up neatly on the right hanger. It was color coded. It was by category, size, every single thing. And now it's like a shop to go into her closet. It's amazing. And now she really does enjoy all the stuff that she spent her hard-earned money on. The other thing speaking about money, that makes me the next point I want to make, that kind of, I see a lot. It's just so much wasted money. I know this year I've heard from so many people just in everyday life how expensive things are these days, but think about the amount of money wasted in your home. And it's a great time to really be aware of it because you're out there in the stores shopping and purchasing more things, or you're purchasing things for a friend or a family member. Think about stuff. Don't just grab stuff to say, oh, I got this person a present. Think about it. Is it going to be something that brings them joy? Are they going to love it, or are they going to use it? And if the answer is no, then I wouldn't even waste your money or your family member's space in their home with something that they won't love or use. I would much rather see you give them the gift of an experience or the gift of a memory than just buy stuff just to buy it, because it seems like a good idea in the moment. You can just, okay, check them off my list. But really, we are so just brainwashed this time of year into thinking that we have to do all of this gift giving without any intention and purpose anymore. It's like, let's really think it through and decide, is it worth the money? And all the things that are taking up space in your closet or in your linen closet or your basement or your garage or your spare bedroom, if you haven't touched it and you don't even know it's there, it's actually wasting the money that you spent on it. That's the truth of it. It's wasting your hard-earned money by not being used. So I'd much rather see you give it away and let somebody else use it, and like give the gift of your hard-earned money to somebody else so they don't have to spend the money twice before you just let it sit there. I'll give you a perfect example. I've been working at a center for domestic violence in my city, and we get donations all the time this time of year. And there's so many amazing things where somebody has donated, like let's say warm winter sweaters or winter coats, because they weren't using it. And I actually get to see a woman who's fleeing a domestic violence situation in her life pick up that coat and put it on and be so grateful, but also so warm because she did not have a coat to wear. You could do that, right? You have coats, you have winter boots, you have cozy sweaters, you have warm pajamas, you have blankets, you have all that stuff in your house. I'm sure of it. And if you're not using it yourself, why not give it to somebody that can use it? You've heard me over the years preach and preach about local giving to those local nonprofit organizations that are not Salvation Army or Goodwill. Think of beyond that in your community. Who else can we give to? Because I find so many people purge and then they donate their clutter to those two organizations and they get an abundance of donations. So let's look at these programs that are for domestic violence. Let's look at the SPCAs. Let's look at the YWCAs. Let's look at the charities for babies. Let's look at all the Habitats for Humanity. Let's look at those organizations this time of year and not only free up space in our house, but also be able to know that we are being a good steward of our things. We have an open heart to give. We're not just wasting money. What you're telling yourself is, oh, I have to keep it because I spent hard earned money on it, but that is a lie. You already spent the money. The money's gone. There's no getting it back. Now you're not only, not only did you spend the money, now you're spending space on it. You're spending time on it. You're spending energy on it because you have to clean around it and maybe you have to shuffle it and move it throughout the year. You're just giving more and more and more of your hard earned resources to that one item when you can give it away, know you did a good thing, and let somebody else enjoy it. So let's see. I have a whole bunch of points written down. Okay, here's another one. Many people are living in the someday or the maybe. They're justifying keeping more things that they're not using by saying to themselves, well, maybe someday, and then they come up with this reason or this situation that might happen where they need this item. Or they'll say, well, someday I'm going to be a crafty person. I'm going to someday when I have more time on my hands, I'm going to be a crafter. That's why I have 3 bins of craft supplies here because someday I'm going to be that person. And it's just funny, right? I'm not picking on you if this is you, but if it is, I know you're kind of looking around your car right now or your house and saying, do they know? Do you know what my house looks like? Yes, I do because I've been in so many similar houses. And so don't live in the someday or the maybe because you will get nowhere. You have to live in the now. You have to look at your life now and say, do I actually have time to craft? Maybe I have been keeping 3 bins of yarn because I'm going to start crocheting or knitting, but it's been years and you've been hanging on to this yarn and you still haven't started to do it. So I would suggest to you either make a plan next year to become that crafter or let it go. And if you decide to be a crafter next year, I'm all for it. All you have to do is make a decision and say, "Hey, this is what I'm going to do. I think it would be fun. I think it'll bring me joy. I think I'll be able to give gifts next year. I have a goal of making 3 scarves by next Christmas." Whatever the case may be, but run with it. Don't live in the someday because someday is now and we don't worry about maybe. We have to live now. I've seen so many situations where people have hung on to all these items living in the maybe and they've never used it. I've even worked with clients for so long that they've ended up passing away and never doing the thing that they said they were going to do. That is sad. That's a huge life lesson for all of us to hear. Do not do it. I think another thing I notice is the richer people are, the more money they have, the more they waste because it's almost like, and it's not everybody, right? I work with a lot of wealthy people, but sometimes I think if money is in abundance, it doesn't hurt as much to waste. And so I notice people will say, well, let me just go buy another one. I can't find that right now. When you could be buying a vacation, or you could be buying something for a charity, or you could be buying an experience for your children. So be careful of that. I think it doesn't matter how much money you have in the bank, how much money you're bringing in every single month, how wealthy you are. You still need to learn to be a steward of the things that you have. It's still important to do that. It it's not nobody's getting it perfect, but I watch people work so hard to be able to be at a point in life where they are wealthy. And then that comes with all this stuff because we have the money coming in. It's not a big deal to spend it on these things. And next thing you know, the house is a disaster. And we've also, spent, not that we can't afford it, but spent money on things that we didn't even need because we already owned them and we just couldn't find them. I see that a lot. And it's funny because I always think about this. I think I've been doing this for so long that I think about the fact that why are we so worried about owning a ton of stuff or a ton of designer things or a ton of name brands when you really can't take it with you? But what the world is telling us is that if we see other people on social media that are wealthy have these things, then we are an equivalent to that person if we also have those things. So, do I think that if you're wealthy, you shouldn't buy the handbag that you've always wanted? Absolutely not. But I would say don't buy it and then just throw it in the back of the closet in a dust bag and use it once or twice every 5 years, or save it for a special occasion, save it for the someday. I would say buy the bag and use the shit out of it and love every minute and appreciate it and be grateful for it and look at it and say, wow, I can't believe I have this, rather than just buying it, just say you have it, to keep up with the Joneses and then to never really enjoy it. And speaking of the Joneses, who cares about them, right? Who gives a flying shit about the Joneses anyways? I that's one of my pet peeves in life. It's just people that try to pretend they are them and they are trying to keep up with them. And you're like, really? Well, who are you? If you're trying to be the Joneses, then who's being you? Right? Who is being you on a daily basis? So be your authentic self. That's just a total side note. Okay. The other thing about spending money is I find a lot of people in their homes don't really know how much they actually have. They don't even know how many things they have in a category because they haven't set up an organized system to see it all and to keep track of it all, and even to go as far as have a system of replenishing it. I see this a lot with beauty products and toiletries where clients will have way more than they need, and it's just as simple of, okay, let's not take up my makeup drawer with every piece of makeup that I own. Let's only keep the makeup that I'm using on a daily or weekly basis in my makeup drawer and put the rest away for when I need it for replenishment, or what I like to call backstock. Or let's say supplements. We don't need every bottle of supplements open. For example, if you have a bottle of vitamin C open, put the other one away or mix them and get rid of a bottle so that it's less containers. Let's see what else. I see it with spices. I see more than one jar of the same spice open. I see it in every category: cleaning supplies, gift wrap. I just see it so often, even office supplies. It's better to have less in your everyday living space and then put the rest in back stock and have a system for bringing it out. When I run out of this, I go to this space and I grab a new one, because that is all the parts of the frustration, right? If you're listening, you guys, there's so much frustration in the everyday living because of that one situation. You've put too many products into the same space. I hope that is making sense to you. The beauty products is just one example, but I see it across the board. Don't put multiples of the same product in the same space. That should be like written out. I should put that in the next book, like in bold letters. It's a major, major rule. Another thing I noticed is that everyone wants more. They want more of things, they want more stuff, but they don't want more work, right? They don't want the work that is required with more stuff. They don't want more energy to be spent on things. They don't want more time spent on things. They just want more. And honey, I hate to tell you, more equals more. More stuff equals more work. More stuff equals more energy. More stuff equals more money. It all equals more. So before you add more to your life, really think about it. What do you want your life to look like? What do you want your home to look like? If you're going for a peaceful Zen vibe in your home, then the answer is probably not more. It's probably simpler. It's probably less maintenance. It's probably streamlined. It's probably easy to maintain. That would make a Zen home, right? So think it through. And that is a lot about, that just comes down to thinking ahead before we make decisions. What do we want out of life? And then our decisions reflect what we want more out of what we want out of life instead of just being on autopilot and kind of going with the flow and just creating a life without thinking about it. And next thing you know, you wake up, your house is packed to the gills with stuff, your schedule's packed, you have no time for yourself, you haven't exercised or worked out or eaten healthy, you couldn't even remember, and you feel like crap. And you're like, why is my life like this? Well, you created it. You created it because you didn't make the choice every single day on what you wanted it to look like. And then the choices align with that vision. But that all comes with the hard work, right? That I mentioned at the beginning of the show. Hard work. It's not, you could, and you don't have to look at it that way. I keep saying hard work, but you could actually look at it as a fun experiment. Let's just call it that, like a fun experiment. How could I make my life better? How could I make my home simpler? How could I love the clothes in my closet? How could I make my beauty routine in the morning easy? You can ask yourself these questions and then you can figure it out. And if you can't figure it out, you can go to someone that already has the answers, somebody that will show you the way, somebody that's already done it before. You can do that at any given point. I look stuff up all the time. I teach people things that I already know and live. And then I also teach myself things by looking at people that are doing things I want to learn. This is the beauty of the world we live in now. We can learn anything. We can find anybody to teach us. That's what's really, really cool about the whole social media gamut now. The other thing I wanted to mention too is I find that a lot of women, especially, don't really want to ask for help. They're like they're like suffering silently. They don't want to ask for help. They do deep down want to change, but they feel like they can't say it out loud what they need, or they can't ask their family members to pitch in and help. They feel like almost, and this is true, like I've seen women feel like they don't want to burden their husband or burden their children by asking for more help. They should just be able to do it. But deep down, secretly, they're resentful and they're annoyed. And if you don't realize it, that is, you're robbing yourself of a lot of joy and peace in your life by not asking for help. And you're also not doing yourself any favors because the kids that are growing up in your house are watching you and they're going to expect their family to behave the same way that you are allowing them to act. It kind of always happens that way. I'll see a family and I've worked with generational families too. So I've seen how whatever the first family teaches, then they raise their kids a certain way, and then the kids in the next house for the next generation raise their kids the same way. So I want to really encourage you to maybe take some time after this episode and grab a journal and write down and brainstorm, hey, what do I really want my home and my family to be like? How can I make a change? Maybe it's a radical change. Maybe you live in this house right now and you're just like looking around, there's holiday stuff everywhere. You still have a long list of things to do. And you're like, something's got to give next year. Something has got to give. I can't do it the same way. I'm not really the woman that I want to be now that it's December 2024. I really don't want to be this woman. Or I really don't want my house to look like this at the end of 2025. Or I really just want to shake it up. I really am wondering what could be, right? What could this house look like? What could my body look like? What could my bank account look like? What could my schedule look like? What could my marriage look like? What could my friendships look like? If you're kind of in that space, which I think this time of year, a lot of us start to wonder because we feel like we had all the best intentions last year at this time. And now here it is, boom, we don't know how it happened, right? But we're at the end of another year and we are still in the same spot. We still don't like the same things that we didn't like last year, and we still are allowing it to happen. We can decide right now. We don't have to wait until January 1st. We can decide right now. Hey, I've decided I'm not doing it anymore. I've decided it's going to look like this now. I've decided I want to be this other girl. Maybe I don't know how exactly I'm going to do it. I don't know all the answers right now, but I'm going to find out. I'm going to challenge myself to see who I could be by the end of 2025, what my house could look like at this time next year, what my career could look like at the end of next year. There's so many possibilities waiting for you. There's so much help out there. There's so many options now. It is actually worth getting excited about. So, if you are kind of feeling like that's you, I also want to mention that I just this episode is going live today, which doesn't always happen. And I have an offer running right now on Instagram. If you don't follow me, my Instagram handle is Jennifer Fordberry, Berry. And I put out an offer for everyone feeling like they're excited about next year and they want to make a change because I started making major changes to I like to think of my life as a building blocks. So I hope every year I get a little bit better at something or I hope I get more wisdom. And 2024, if you have been listening to this show, I went through some big stuff and it derailed me for a while. And then I got back with a lot of hard work. I got back and now I feel better than ever. Truly, I feel better than ever. And also, it's interesting because as a side note, I mentioned this on social media last week. The countdown to 50 is on, folks. Yes, 50, as in 50 years old. hmm the countdown is 250 is on for me. And that's really lit a fire under my ass as well. But I have done the work and I've done the research and I'm still progressing towards my goals and I'm excited. There's nothing better. I went through the year and that, hiatus I talked about, and I didn't feel like my best self. And I finally figured out how to get back to my best self, and I'm so happy I did. So, if you are interested, go to my Instagram today. It's only a 48-hour offer, and I'm only taking 5 women that I have decided that I want to teach them what I have learned and what I've learned just from the combination of many, many years working with women, but also my own journey and my own self discovery. And so I'm taking 5 women in 2025 and I'm going to be your one on one mentor. And it's going to be everything. It's going to be your home, your health, your wealth, your schedule, your relationships, and your energy. It's going to be a transformation. So we're not looking for any women that aren't ready to make a change or work hard. We're looking for those that are just like, you know what? I need to do something for myself. This is not working anymore. And I want to be the best version of myself. I want to be happy. I want to have energy. I want to be excited to get up in the morning. So if you've listened to the show and you're feeling like, yeah, I do need something to help me. I do need a mentor. Hey, give me a shout. Just go to Instagram right now, Jennifer Ford Berry. DM me. I'll send you the details. We can be working together starting the beginning of January. That means you get the rest of the holidays to enjoy and we can hit the ground running together in 2025. So check that out. I'm so excited. And also, I'm excited because Bryston is flying in Friday. I can't wait. I know a lot of you out there are going to be just anticipating the arrival of your children home for the holidays if you're like me and have kids in college, stuff like that. Also, a couple of episodes ago, I did do a show all about welcoming adult children home for the holidays. Make sure you check that out. And I cannot believe it, but next week, I am going to be celebrating the 200th episode of this podcast. I am like, what? What is happening? It's been 8 years, you guys. Next week is the 200th episode. So do me a favor if you had a favorite guest, if there was an episode that made an impact on you, if you have even suggestions for the upcoming year, I really want to honor the fact that I've been podcasting for 8 years. It started out as the 29-minute mom. We had a great run with that. And then I rebranded and transitioned to the Make Room show as my kids were leaving the house. So I just want to welcome anybody to make some sort of input into the 200th episode. So if you're listening and you're like, hey, Jen, I've been listening to the show for a while, please let me know. I want to hear from you. I want to know what it is you actually, why do you keep listening to this? What is it that you like about it? And also, what do you want to hear in the future? So please do me a favor, go to Instagram, Jennifer Fordberry, and let me know, excuse me, that as well. Or you can always email me. My email is on my website, jenniferfordberry.com. But yeah, it's going to be really interesting next week to reminisce and also reflect on 200 episodes. That is crazy, you guys. So I love you so much. I hope this episode kind of just fires you up, right? Just lights a fire under you to be your best self. It's not easy. I know. We all go through times where it's a struggle and it's hard, but you can do it. That much I know. If I can do it, you can do it. I promise you. I love you so much. And I'll be back next week.